The Contec CT320 shaver is a 460 volt 3-phase unit. It is phase sensitive, so you will need to make sure when you begin to use the equipment that it is wired correctly. I will show you how it is wired here with our unit. However, keep in mind that the wiring and the plugs that you are using may not be the same as what we are using. So if you hook it up the same way you see in the video and it will not turn on, then you'll just need to simply switch two of the wires. Typically we switch both wires on the right hand side in order to get the unit to power on. The unit will not power on unless the wires are in the correct phase. First thing I'm going to do on my generator is I'm going to make sure that I have my 480 volt 3-phase selected here. It is selected for 483 phase. We're good there. Take a look at the wiring here. I have my white wire in the first leg, my red wire in the second leg, my black wire in the third leg, and then my ground wire on my neutral. So again, the unit will not power up until the wires have been wired in the correct phase. In this instance, in our instance here, it goes white, red, black. If you hook it up this exact same way and you don't have power to it, take two of the wires, typically the two on the right hand side, and switch them in order for the motor to be turning in the correct direction. Once you have the shaver wired correctly, you're going to come over to your power box here. I'm going to make sure that the emergency stop is disengaged by pulling up on it. When the emergency stop is disengaged, you'll hear it click, and you'll also see a yellow ribbon around the bottom. That means it's disengaged. And then at that point, when you push the start button, you will hear a very quiet clicking noise in the box. That tells me that I have power to it. At this point now, we're ready to go ahead and power up the machine. This is a manual soft start machine. So you'll notice here on my switch, I have a Y and a delta. So what I will do is the first thing I'm going to do to get it started, to soft start it, I will take the knob and turn it to the Y. That begins the drum turning. Wait for about 10 seconds. Switch it over to your delta. And now your machine is up and running. You're ready to go. There are two vacuum hose ports on the shaver. One of them is on the machine. The other one can be mounted to the machine. The first vacuum port is this port here. It is 2 3/4 in diameter. So a 3-inch hose will work on that with some fabrication. The second way to contain the dust would be this cart that attaches to the unit. You'll notice that there are two receivers right here. And these receivers mount to the bolts which are sitting outside of the wheels of the shaver. So to mount the cart, what I'm going to do is I'm simply going to slide it underneath there. This middle piece fits right in between those wheels nicely, and then the two receivers mount to the two bolts that stick outside the wheels. You're going to have two cotter pins. One cotter pin is going to go in each side of the cart to hold it in place, and it will roll along the floor with the shaver. The diameter for the port here is 5 inches. Most guys, if they're only going to hook up one grinder, will use this port here in order to draw the dust out. For optimum dust control, you would hook up a hose here, and you would also hook up a hose here as well. The handle on the side here is for your transport mode and then your cutting mode. The handle in the position that is now is currently in a transport position. You'll notice that I can roll the machine easily and move the machine around as I need to. When I am ready to cut, ready to begin removing concrete or to cut with the shaving blades, I'm going to take the handle and I'm going to push it in the forward direction, and that will then drop the unit down to my desired depth in order to begin cutting the concrete. The nice thing about this is most guys, when they are cutting, they'll set their depth, they'll figure out their depth, they'll set their depth, they'll make their first cut. Once they make their first cut, instead of cranking the entire unit back up, they'll just simply pull the handle back up. That will take the blades off of the surface. It will allow you to turn the machine around, and then once you have the machine lined up and you're ready to make your next pass, you're going to go ahead and drop the blades back down on the concrete. This way your depth stays the same the entire time. The turn wheel here is designed to set the depth at which you're going to cut. In order to set the depth, you're first going to want to make sure that the unit is running. And then what you will do is, if you want the blades to cut more, you will turn that in a clockwise direction. That will lower the blades. If you want the diamonds to cut less, if you want to remove less concrete, you will turn it in a counterclockwise direction. That will bring the diamond blade drum up, and that will allow you to then remove less concrete. Once you have the depth of the blades set at the cutting depth that you would like, this is designed to basically hold that depth in place. So to tighten the drum down to keep it from either lowering or raising, I'm going to turn it in a clockwise direction. This will tighten the drum down and will not allow for me to turn the drum up and down. This cable here is attached to a pin that you will see located down here on your front wheel, your directional wheel. In order to move the pin, or in order to move the grinder around left to right, you're going to want that pin to be in the up direction. So on my cable handle, I'm going to push the cable handle down. That's going to pull a pin out from this groove right here, and is going to allow the unit to turn back and forth in a left-right direction. In order to cut a straight line, what you'll want to do is you'll want to go ahead and set your pin so that when you begin to cut, that pin is going to hold your front wheel, your directional wheel, in a fairly straight direction. The shaver is a self-propelled unit. It will move in forward and reverse. You'll notice that I have my self-propelled controller here. If I turn it to the right, that moves it in the forward direction. This is your neutral position. It won't move back and forth. This is your reverse position. Very rarely will you ever use the reverse position. You'll mainly use the forward position. When you're cutting the floor, you always want to make sure that you're moving in the forward direction. You don't want to move in reverse. You always want to make sure you're moving in the forward direction. So you go ahead and set your diamond blades down. You'll set your depth, your desired depth that you want to cut it at. Once you have it at the desired depth and you crank this thing down to hold it in place, you'll go ahead and turn this in the forward direction. On the side here, you'll notice you have your potentiometer that controls how quickly or how slowly the unit moves forwards and backwards. The more concrete you're trying to remove, the slower the machine should move. The less concrete you're trying to remove, you can move it a little bit faster, but the unit will tell you whether you're moving too quickly or not. The shaver will be set level when you before we ship it out to you or before it is delivered. However, in transit, sometimes the drum ends up getting a little off kilter one way or another. In order to level the machine, you've got the two bolts which the vacuum attachment attaches to, the vacuum cart attaches to. So in order to level the machine, you're either going to turn one side or the other, one direction or the other, in order to get it to where it feels like it's cutting level again.